Cheers.
Cheers.
Salute. Thank you so much for taking time out to come up to the podcast or to do the podcast video episode. I know you're busy. You got a lot going on.
I am.
So first, obviously this podcast is about, small business owners and the successes and struggles of being in business as a small business owner. And let's start out first, I guess, with like your career, how you started out before you became a business owner. And I know you mentioned that you were in the education field, right? Before you got into business for yourself. So talk about that and what made you like transition? You don't have to talk too much about your past, but what made you transition, like where you started and why you transitioned to being where you're at right now?
It's like the $1 million question.
Yeah.
Boy, I can't see your eyes. Who am I talking to?
You can't? I got you.
I like to see who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
I need to see your facial.
There you go. I had to be a little extra for this episode. It's necessary. It's like.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
David's the best. I appreciate you first and foremost. I want to thank you because you have helped me a lot in the growth of my brand.
Thank you.
I think that's something that every business owner struggles with in the beginning because they don't have a brand and they're just trying to figure out how they're going to pop off. And the reality is, like, Coca-Cola has a brand.
Yeah.
Toyota has a brand. Why does everyone obsess over Apple? They have a brand. And I think what you do is very important for any business owner, so I'm grateful for you.
Thank you. I can drink to that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
But the question was my journey. How did I start? Why did I get into business, entrepreneurship? So, believe it or not, I never planned on being a teacher.
Oh, really?
Never. That was the one thing when I got out of college, I said I will never be a teacher.
Okay.
And then I couldn't find a job. I started working at Starbucks part-time. I worked there for about 9 months, and then I was like, I need a job. Because what the hell did I go to school for?
Yeah.
So I was offered a position. I was teaching adult education, so I was teaching English to adults at the time.
Okay.
I liked it. Teaching is a very interesting career. You definitely have to love what you do in terms of wanting to help people and wanting to just kind of put yourself out there. It's kind of like being a parent, a friend, an advisor all at the same time, but you're a teacher, so definitely not for the weak. But I couldn't get a job, so I said, whatever, I'll take it. And I didn't know what I was signing up for. I just wanted my job, I wanted a salary, I wanted my benefits, because I asked myself, what the hell did I go to school for? Like,
what did you study in school?
I did not go to school for teaching. My major is in editing, writing, and media.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm not good when it comes to graphics, but when it comes to text, to print, all day.
Nice.
I can sit here, write you an article. If I really wanted to, I could publish a book, which I will, coming soon. But
there you go.
I enjoyed what I learned, but it was never my plans to teach, but it was always in God's plans, and I always tried to run away from it. And so I couldn't find a job, but teaching was available, and I took it. And then very shortly after, I just realized that it wasn't even my job, it was just the system, right? It's public school system. I grew up in Miami all my life.
Okay.
The reality is that I saw the school system from the perspective of the students, but then now as an educator, I saw the ugly truth. And I saw the budget, and I saw the hierarchy, and I saw everything, and I realized the system is jacked up because the system doesn't care. They don't really care about their students. And they don't care about their teachers either. They abuse the hell out of us. Working more than the hours that we were salaried for at my school in particular, which I'm not going to mention, but revolving door. Teachers were quitting every single month. Nobody wanted to work there. So then what happens? The teachers that were on staff, now you have a 40-student classroom, which is ridiculous. Like, if anyone's watching this and they're in education, they know that a 40-student classroom is like, that shouldn't even be okay. But anyway, so I was very young, I was 23 years old, between dealing with the students and their emotions, me being now, in a professional career for the first time in my life after college, managing my own emotions, my personal life. It was just very exhausting, and it's not something that I was prepared for.
Okay.
But I stuck through with it. I did realize that I enjoy teaching other people, and I enjoy helping people, because that's ultimately what my purpose is, right? Whatever I'm doing, if I'm not helping you, I'm not empowering you, I'm not fulfilling my purpose. So teaching kind of confirmed that for me. But the parameters, the situation, the environment, just made me realize that was not it for me. And I asked one of my coworkers one time, I said, hey, how long have you been here? Oh, I've been here 8 years, whatever. I said, why are you here? Oh, it pays the bills this side. And I went around and I asked a couple people that, and they all gave me the same answer. oh, you know, it's all right, pays the bills, this, that, but nobody, there was no passion.
Yeah.
And so I realized very quickly that if I stayed in that environment, my passion was gonna die out, and I was just gonna become like everybody else, and I didn't want that, because I realized that I could do better, but in an environment that fosters my passion, not an environment that kills it.
Yeah, exactly.
And in that environment, I felt like, and I'm sure you can relate.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
It gets to a point to where it's like you're just there to, like they were mentioning, just to pay the bills, but then, you know, years go by and you become dependent on them, and you're not growing any other, you know, you're not really focusing on anything else, or you can't really, because you're giving all of your time and attention to that company, that in return, you know, when something major happens or whenever they feel like it, they can get rid of you quick. So yeah, I've definitely been there.
Right, so I mean, I went through that as well, and I was like, ooh, I gotta get out of here before I die. Like, that was literally my thought. Between the stress, I mean, I don't want to ever say that I was depressed, but I feel like I was getting there. And it wasn't even because I felt like anything was wrong with me. It's just like the overworking, then seeing my certain students, seeing what their life was like at home, seeing that there was so many things that were out of my control that I couldn't do anything about. And I'm human, you know, I have a heart, I have feelings. I genuinely cared about my students.
And what grade again did you teach?
8th grade.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
In Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not weak. It's not.
I probably would have gave you a hard time if I was in your classroom.
I was. A hard time. You know, my first day at that job, one of the students was in my face because I told everybody, put your phone away, and if I catch you with your phone, I'm not gonna ask. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
You can come pick it up at the end of the school day. Oh my God, this little boy was in my face, cursing. Like, I was like, Lord, it's my first day.
Your first day.
On my first day.
Oh, they was testing you for sure. Not even. I mean, wow, you definitely got a good. Not a good, but you definitely got an introduction. I would say
those kids were so bad that after maybe like 4 months, when they finally respected me, they were like, "Oh, you want to know the truth? We were just trying to get you out, like we did everybody else." But they basically were like, "Oh, but you made it though. Like, you made it through."
Oh man. Woo, yeah. Oh, plotting on you.
But you know, when I started to look deeper into the problem, I realized it wasn't the students. I realized it was the system, which has been broken for years, and one person wasn't gonna fix it. I wasn't gonna fix it, and I wasn't gonna die trying to fix it because I knew it's gonna take years, and it can't just be one person, you know.
Got you.
So I was there, I stuck it out, but very shortly I just was like, I can't. Like, I feel like I'm limiting myself, and on top of that, the exhaustion. Like, yeah, it's good to, you know, get money, hustle, but like, if you're always working, you never have time for yourself. You can't even be a human being and just, like, you know, take a moment. Like, what's the purpose of life and what's the purpose of all this money?
Got you.
So that's essentially when I had to make a choice, that I either continued to live in that very hectic, never have time, always stressed, 9 to 5, not even, because I had 2 jobs. I would get out of the middle school around 3:50, and then I taught night school at the Adult Ed Center, and I would clock in at 6, and I would clock out at 9:30. I would leave my house about 6:45 in the morning, and I would get home almost at 10 p.m.
So basically, you know what I realized too, when I was working, let's say a regular job 9 to 5 before I quit and became full-time in my own business, I realized that it's not necessarily 9 to 5. You got to put in the hours that the hour it take you to sit in traffic to get there. Then on top of that, the time you got to wake up early, you got to wake up and, you know, 2 hours early, get ready for an hour, then drive for an hour, then you clock in, then you repeat the same process. So it's way more hours that you're putting in for, you know, the company or whatever. So with everything you just said, right? When did the transition happen to where you're like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and switch over and do this? When did that switch happen?
When is it that it happened in my brain or in reality?
Well, no, from when you, not necessarily from inception to when you thought about doing your own business or your own thing, from where, okay, you actually made the jump to, okay, hey, you guys, I'm gonna give you my 2-week notice and I'm out of here. Like, how long were you teaching before you made the jump officially? And then how was the process like?
I didn't even make it to 2 years.
Okay.
Because before that, I was doing private schools, which people always think they're better, and they're not any better. So from the time that I got out of school and I started working, you know, a job, and I decided to quit. I graduated college in 2016. I got a job September of 2016, and I quit my job like summer of 2018.
Got you. So I mean, you're still fairly fresh, you know, in terms of being in business fully for yourself. You're not teaching right now, right?
Hell no.
Got you. Okay. So
You didn't let me answer my question.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead and answer.
You were asking me basically, you know, when that happened, when that transition happened. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was like one of those unforgettable moments. People say, oh, you never forget the day you get married. You never forget the day. I'll never forget the day I quit my job. It was like the hardest choice of my life because ultimately we all of us who have at one point quit our jobs have gone through this where we're questioning ourselves and we're like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, what if it doesn't go the way you plan it? You know, then are you going to come back? And it's just like we go through so many questions in our mind until we finally decide to say, I don't care what it takes, but I'm getting the hell out of here.
Yeah.
You know, so that was me. I didn't give them 2 weeks. I gave them about a week. Basically that entire summer, because you know teachers have summers off.
Yeah.
That entire summer I was back and forth contemplating in my mind, do I quit, do I not quit, do I quit, do I not quit, what am I going to do? And I just drove myself insane. But so the beginning of the school year was starting to come up, August, and I could not bear the thought of having to wake up at the time that I used to wake up, to have to drive,
repeat the same process.
And I just replay that in my mind, and like it was like this anxiety that would build up, and like I was like, I can't, like I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know for a fact that I cannot go back to. So I remember walking into my principal's office, like literally I gave them about a week and a half before the school year started, and I said, hey, you know, just call this meeting because I want to share some information with you. And I don't think they saw it coming. And they were like, yeah, sure, what happened? And I was like, oh, you know, I decided that I'm not coming back this school year. I'm starting my own business. And he was like, oh, you know, congratulations, I understand. And I was like, okay, that went pretty good. But when he asked me, what are you going to do? In my mind, I was like, what am I going to do?
Gotcha. Okay.
And all I said to him was, it's crazy because even though I didn't know, I knew. All I said to him was, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to teach people. You know, I'm going to empower them financially, and I'm just going to be able to help people with their finances and just educate them.
Yeah.
Not in the classroom. I don't know what the hell I was saying. That just came from, right, but that was probably God, like, girl, let me download real quick. But I really was like trying to be so confident in what I was saying, but in the back of my mind I was like, whoo, what now? You know, so I quit, and then it was a roller coaster. That was back in 2018. I started my own tutoring company, and that went very well. But what ended up happening was slow seasons for tutoring companies and anything educational based always come, like the holidays, because kids are out of school, like summertime. And so when that was happening, I was like not doing good. So then I started selling life insurance and did that for about a year. It went pretty well. That was my avenue into the world of financial education and financial services.
Okay.
And that went on for a while, and then fast forward, that's when I got into everything that I do now in terms of what my business is today, which I know you're about to probably ask me some questions.
Exactly. I would say, okay, so right? Take a sip. Yes. Take a sip. You know, there's a lot to soak in. There's a lot of information, a lot of new things that I actually just learned about you as well too. That obviously we never necessarily spoke about. It was very generic information, but in today, right? Based on everything you've been through, you know, today's topic, I would say is okay. Hold on, 2 seconds. So nothing scripted here. I did take a note. We're live, nothing scripted, but I did take a note specifically that I wanted to, I guess, talk to you about. And it basically pertains to how successful people suppress their struggles and it manifests itself in other ways in business. So let's talk about that really quickly.
Oof. Oh! Like, people need to grab their drinks for this one. All right. So, wow, I think as a business owner and as people in general, we tend to suppress a lot of negative emotions because that's just what humans do. Because we don't want to deal with the pain that comes with those emotions, or we don't want to deal with basically the memories that are attached to whatever it is we're trying to suppress. So I think, especially people who are in business, you know, if you look at people now, for example, Steve Jobs, right? You look at the Tesla guy.
Elon Musk,
thank you.
Yeah.
And just these renowned, these world-known, these very successful business owners and entrepreneurs, and then you watch documentaries about them and their lives, and then you realize, like, whoa, like these people they had some issues, you know? And the reason why I bring that is because I think a common misconception about business owners is that, or entrepreneurs is that like everybody who's not a business owner and entrepreneur thinks that we have it all together, and they think we're perfect, and they think that, you know, we all of a sudden, because we decided to work for ourselves, that we're now part of this other planet. And that's a stigma that needs to stop. But the question is how we tend to, I mean business owners or entrepreneurs, we tend to suppress a lot of these negative emotions, and
it manifests in other areas.
It does in your business. So I don't know what type of business, I know what type of business you're in, but whoever's listening to us today, I don't know what type of business that they do, but I do know that there comes a point in your business where there's certain roles that you have to take on that you might have not been trained for, you don't know how to handle them. So one of them is the role of leadership, and I believe every business, even if you just start self-employed, it's just you, requires leadership, you know? And if maybe in your youth you lacked a leadership figure, for a lot of people it's their parents, their father, not always the case. It could be an uncle, a grandfather, you know, any male figure. But what happens to individuals that now see they have to fulfill a leadership role and they lacked a leadership role in their life, you know?
Exactly.
So that's one of the things that I've noticed. I've been in business now for 4 years, and I've noticed that not with myself, but I do work with a lot of people, and I do have to coach and mentor a lot of people, and I identify with certain individuals, and it's like a struggle because I'm trying to help you, and it's like there's something that needs to be addressed. It's something that you got to go take care of. That's something that you've been suppressing, but you choose not to. So how are we supposed to move forward and do better, you know? So that's,
we were never really necessarily taught. That's a good example, because it kind of feels like my situation, right, where I was very talented, you know, still is, whatever, but I was always in a creative field, and I did art and this and that in high school, and a lot of people that know me from high school knew that I was the guy to go to for, you know, different things. But in pertaining to what you're talking about, right, my father, you know, he passed away when I was 6 or 7 years old, and growing up, you know, my family, we were only focused on, you know, making sure you're working, making sure, you know, we didn't really talk about anything or do anything outside of making sure you're doing something to bring income in, because we were struggling growing up. So me being in business now, it's like you said about the leadership role, exactly. So now you have to, like, how do you get to like that level from where you didn't have anyone to show you how to act a certain way or be a certain way. You just have to overnight kind of just say, okay, you go from, or in my case, I go from being a designer sitting behind a computer to now you have all these other responsibilities, and you have to like hold yourself to a certain level so that everybody else can be inspired that works for you as well. So they don't see, oh, he's not a business owner. Like, what is a business owner? What is, you know? So that's a very good point that you brought up, and you're right. You do kind of how would someone, based on your experience, because me, I'm a new small business owner. So I feel like I'm still learning in the process, but based on your experience, how does someone suppressing or someone growing to be successful suppress their emotions, and how does it manifest in other areas in their business? Like, how do you know, okay, it popped up then? Is it talking with a customer? Is it like...
Yeah, I mean, like in my line of business, I deal with clients, but I also have people that I work with that I have to manage in terms of mentoring them, teaching them. So there are certain individuals where when I notice a lack of, for example, lack of, I wouldn't say discipline, lack of confidence.
Okay.
I notice that sometimes with certain individuals. And in business, you don't have to be cocky. You definitely have to be confident. Because if you're not confident in what you're offering, what you're selling, right, you could be the best graphic designer in the world, but if David doesn't believe that he's the best graphic designer in the world, you're not going to come off as that, and people won't want to do business with you.
In terms of when you're talking to customers or in advertising?
Yeah, exactly. So in any line of business, doesn't matter what you do, what you sell, you have to be confident in yourself.
Yeah.
Because that is what people perceive, and nobody wants to do business with anybody who's not confident, because then you're not going to feel like they're going to get the job done. So maybe someone that I've noticed with some people that I'm working with, maybe they have low self-esteem, and they kind of, for whatever reason, they were abused as children, they were in a very abusive relationship, but they were younger, they had abusive parents, and so they lack that confidence, and rather than just facing it head on, which is probably the scariest thing that any human being can do, is like facing your fears, facing those things that you're running from, rather than dealing with it, they just suppress it, and then they realize why they never why they're never successful, or why they never get the things that they want or whatever. There's nothing wrong with you, but there's something wrong with all of us. So we just have to be honest with ourselves and identify those things, because they will hinder you. They'll hinder you not only in your personal life and your business life. It'll come up.
Yeah.
And it'll come up in the ugliest ways. I feel like business is one of those things that just exposes you, and it just puts you in the very uncomfortable situation where you have to learn things about yourself, because you're dealing with people, and you know all those years you were an employee, and now you're a business owner. It's a lot to handle, dealing with the public, dealing with clients, just kind of the way that you portray yourself. And so there's so many things that come about. So I gave you an example. I'll talk about myself a little bit. One of my things that I struggle with in business, because the things that probably I suppressed from my youth, is when I was younger, we migrated to this country with my father and my brother. My mother couldn't come right away because of her visa and whatnot. And that first year that I lived here in the United States as a young girl, learning English and whatnot, I was very angry. I was very angry because I didn't understand, as a 6-year-old little girl, why I couldn't have my mom and my dad and everything could be perfect. I didn't understand immigration laws. I didn't understand any of that. But that year that my mom was not present in my life, like, I'm not saying my mom is very present, but as a 6-year-old, not having your mom for a year and you've been with her all your life is very traumatizing. So I have my issue with that is, like, I guess I never dug deep to realize that, or kind of resolve that as an adult, right? Like, I'm good, but I do see sometimes how it comes up in business where I feel like I have to attend to everyone's needs right away, or I feel like I have to always respond, or I overwhelm myself rather than delegating, because I feel like I have to be superwoman, and that's my way of suppressing, maybe understanding, like, no, it's okay, you can ask for help, like, you can not take that call right now, but it comes from that one particular event in my life where I didn't feel like my mom was there, so I kind of had to be my own superwoman. So now in my business, I feel like I always have to be superwoman. And another thing that I feel like a lot of business owners struggle with is like, we think we have to do it all and we have to be perfect and whatever, and we don't accept that, like, you don't have to be perfect. It's a journey, like, it's your journey, So that's myself, that's something that I know I always suppress, especially in business. So I just try to make it seem like everything's good, like nothing's going on, like I got it, even if I don't got it. And it comes from that one thing, So
I do have a question, right, that I've always been thinking about, right? It's like, okay, so when you got into business, when you have those days where, because I feel like this is something I'm currently experiencing, where it's like, who do you talk to when you have days where it's like, where the money didn't come in, or it's like you got so much on your plate and you need to vent, or you don't know who to talk to or who to go to? Like, who do you talk to besides your family, like other people in business that are related? Like, do you have a person you can, like, go to and, like, vent, and, like, whenever you need a moment to express your your emotions for the day or something like that? If you understand where I'm coming from.
I do. I think I know the answer, but from personal experience, I'm not that person. I don't vet. I just take it all on and I figure it out, and I don't vet, which is something that I know is a problem, because, like anything in life, things build up, and then when they build up, the aftermath usually is never good. So that's something that I have to work on myself. But when there have been times where I have opened up about certain things about my business, or maybe where I'm lacking or where I need help or support, definitely want to surround yourself with other business owners that you become friends with. Through my journey in business, I realized that business is hard. Being a business owner is hard. And so the people that you surround yourself are very crucial to the success of your business, believe it or not. Because if you're hanging around your friends from way back when and none of them understand business, and they're just like, oh, that sucks, you're not making money, why don't you just get back to a job? Like, that's not something you want to hear. So to answer your question, who do you talk to? Majority of my friends at this point are my business partners. Like,
got you.
A couple years back when I started, my business, a lot of which they're still my friends, they love me, they know I'm here for them, I love them too, but it's just, as time went on, I realized that they're not the support that I needed, because you need other strong-minded individuals such as yourself that are going to understand what you're going through. So in my case, my business partners are my friends, and they understand what I go through, I understand what they go through, so they're my support. A mentor is also very important. So if you don't have a mentor as of now, I highly, highly suggest that you get a business mentor.
I've definitely been looking for it for sure. But I would tell you this, right? Based on our experience, working together, you know, me knowing you, I've met a lot of amazing people in business on your side, and that's a great thing for me because I'm a designer. I'm in a completely different field, obviously. So thank you for that. And then if you do need someone to vent to, like, I'm here. We can vent. We can like schedule a call, or if you're in the area, like you need it. It's just to go off of. I don't care what it is, what the topic is. You can vent or talk about. I'm going through it right now. Like, I know it's a lot. I'm not just a designer. Now I'm a business owner, which is a completely different flip.
It is.
And when it comes to personal friends, like friends that are not in business, that are not in the same, even family members, I tell people who are small business owners, like, you need people that are small business owners like you or above you that you can talk to about business, because your family's gonna obviously tell you what you want to hear. But when you have someone that is going through the same thing you're going through, or that already went through it, or that are hiring you in terms of the success or business bracket, they're the ones you really want to, like, you know, or they're the ones that can relate more to what you're saying.
Give you advice.
Exactly. So it's not that, yeah, and you know, that's like a thing I wanted to mention. And I would say, I guess, to move the conversation forward, what advice would you give anyone that just got into business in terms of they got their LLC, they're ready to, you know, quit their 9-to-5 to go full time on their job, or whether they're working their regular job and they have an LLC and is on, you know, their side hustle? What any advice that comes to mind would you give them in particular?
I have a lot of advice, but I'm going to try to stick to a couple of key points. So one of them is, everybody wants to go in business. Everybody wants to be their own boss. Nobody has a plan. And I'll be honest, when I started, I lacked a plan. I knew where I was headed. I had a vision, so that I feel like my vision and my drive is what got me through it. But I think I should have planned better. You definitely want to plan financially. If you haven't quit your job or you're thinking of planning your job, you don't want to put yourself in a predicament where you quit your job and then you have to go right back.
Yeah.
Because that's probably the worst feeling in the world. And so how do you avoid that? You do your numbers. You realize how much money you need coming in to be able to pay your bills, to be able to survive, right? And anything coming above that is what you call your profit. So definitely plan ahead for the next 6 months. You know, figure out your numbers. If you have to cut some costs that are unnecessary, definitely do that, so you're not struggling financially. Because one of the worst things as a business owner is to be struggling and then try to have your dreams come true, trying to bring your business to life. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's just a stress that if you can avoid it, definitely. I mean, this is when the leverage of credit comes in, the leverage of taking out loans. You know, if you know that things might be a little tight in the beginning, take out a loan right before you quit. When you still have your W-2s and you can prove that you have that income, take out the loan, have that money stashed away for an emergency. Not for, oh, I want to go out to eat with some friends, but I gotta have, no, none of that. Emergency, so you keep that.
That's one of the best advice I think I've heard so far. So cheers to that. Cheers, salute, because you need that financial backing for when days where, let's say you're selling, you have a service, you're making income, but then with days when it slows down, you have the slow season. You have that loan or that extra that whether it's cushion, the credit cards or whatever, to help you overcome that hill to when it's slow. And trust me, that's gonna come in handy. So that's one of the best things that I've heard tonight. So, you know, how can people find you on social media? It's like, I like what this girl is saying. Like, look at the outfit. Like, look at how can I find her? Where can I go and like follow her on social media?
So all my social media platforms are all Credit Carla. My Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter is the Credit Carla. Basically, I share a lot of information when it comes to business, when it comes to credit, of course, which is what I do. Also, a lot of business credit advice. I do everything from business consulting to business credit to personal credit repair to just anything financial services. That's my niche.
Perfect.
And Credit Carla. Now, you'll find me.
There we go.
The one and only Credit Carla.
There we go.